everyone. It's Kristen, David, and Brett Tremblay here. We're having a little bit of fun, just middle of the week, talking about virtual assistants and how it changes our lives to get things off of our plate, to delegate. And Brett, thank you so much for jumping on and taking time out of your busy day. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. The honor is all mine. As I said on when I shared this event a few minutes ago, I said I have the honor of being on today with one of my early mentors, Kristen David. If you know her, you know how much butt she kicks, and if you don't know her, you need to know her. And so it's kind of cool, the evolution of where I was, six
Yeah.
and a half years ago, and here we are now.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I am having super fun helping so many business owners all across the United States. And the thing I hear over and over and over again is there's not enough time. I need more time. And you and I both know the way you get that time is by delegating and getting some great people surrounding you. And the biggest thing is virtual assistants. I mean, I've used them for years, absolutely love having them on my team. My business is all virtual now, but you have you're such a serial entrepreneur. You've not only got the law firm business up and running, but you also have this other business, Get Staffed Up, that is just doing amazing. I know your company has helped a number of my clients already, and they love it, absolutely. So can you talk a little bit about just the offshore administrative staffing? Like, how does that even happen? What do you do?
Sure. Before we go there, I just want to talk a little bit about the origin and why this means so much to me, because I
Okay.
think that's important, not to lose that. And it involves my story, which you know well. Early on, started my own law firm, and lawyers are high achievers, and so we get through law school, and oh my gosh, we're going to be rich and famous, and start our own law firm, and the business is just going to come flying in. That's all I have to do is, hey guys, I have my own law firm, and people will crawl out of the woodworks to throw money at us and cases and matters, and we're going to change the world. And just like you said a moment ago, I had to learn the hard way. 2.5 years of being on my own. No, certainly no other attorneys, but no administrative help, nothing. So I was doing everything myself. And for the first 2 or 3 months, you're running on adrenaline, and it's fun. And I can stay up till midnight and tweak one little part of the website. And after time, it's like, well, where is the business, and why aren't I growing? And I had to learn with your help and others is if I'm answering my own phones, if I'm licking my own stamps, if I'm sending my own faxes, because this was 2011, 2012, I can't really do good for anyone during those times because I'm not actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And even though that lesson makes logical sense, and people say, if you're doing the job of a $10 an hour, you're only making $10 an hour. In your mind, in my mind, it was, well, not really, because I'm a lawyer and I could charge more. But I think the statistic, Kristen, is that true solo attorneys bill about zero point 0.9 hours per day. So because there's just so many things to get to, and some people don't have this problem. I did. I had to learn, in terms of inspecting myself and reading books and figuring out I was really afraid of failure. And so I didn't want to hire anyone because, oh my gosh, if I didn't have all this money in the bank account, how would I afford to pay anybody? And kind of come full circle, I learned the lesson, and the law firm, Tremblay Law Firm, we protect honest business owners from getting screwed. And we have an incredible team, 22 employees here in Miami, in person.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until late 2017 that my business partner, and really he's kind of generous of letting me use the term co-founder, because he discovered that you could have virtual staff offshore, meaning not in the United States. And so he figured this thing out, and he started placing ads, and he really, I didn't see him for 2 months. He kind of disappeared, and came out of this thing with 4 really awesome employees in another country. And it was so mind blowing to me. And I'm looking at him, remembering how hard it was for me and thinking, if I had known about this option, maybe I would have been so afraid and maybe I would have pulled the trigger, because one of the big advantages here is it's not any less talented people. It's just because they live somewhere where there's a different economy,
Yeah.
you're paying them very well for where they live and much, much less for US standards and rates. So I just want to, before I really get into any of the nuts and bolts, is just kind of like I enjoy most helping somebody, an entrepreneur who's just getting started, who's like, I don't know what to do. I'm so busy. I'm working 80 hours a week. It's like, you can't do everything yourself. You can not do everything yourself. Please get help. Well, I can't afford it. Okay, here's an option you probably didn't know about. And so that's been really cool.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, I'm so busy. I mean, and no judgment zone. I was there too, right? I was, and when I owned my law firm business and trying to juggle everything. And then once you finally break that first hurdle and hire and start delegating and getting things off your plate, it gets easier and easier. But the beautiful thing about what you're doing, like you said, you've got some amazing people with amazing talent. They just happen to be in other countries. You can have a full-time person at such a cost-effective rate. And at first, I know, I mean, I've talked to some of my own clients and they've thought, well, I don't need a full-time assistant. I just need a part-time assistant, right? Yeah. Oh no, you guys, remember, you're so busy, right? You have plenty. It's just learning to delegate and learning to get that stuff off your plate. So learning how to work with virtual assistants is something that you acclimate to. It's a skill you hone, but step one is, getting one. And then when you have to show up on a phone call or a Zoom call every day or every other day, it causes you to have to delegate some stuff. Now, you're a fan of having what's it, the daily huddle, daily stand-up? What is it?
Yeah. We call it a huddle, and we get the entire team together at 9:02 every morning. They normally don't last more than 10 minutes, and everyone goes around and says what they're working on, a big win from the day before, and if they're stuck or they need resources or help. And if you set up a TV, like you can see the one behind me, you can include your virtual staff in those daily huddles and really make them feel part of the team.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm a big fan of building a team, leading a team. I'm running a virtual company now, so it's all a virtual team. But even in my Build Your Culture Masterclass that I taught, it's in my Business Mastery College, it's all about bringing your team together and that visual. And if you've got people in different locations, you need to have those like Zoom calls where you can see everyone. Because frankly, an email you lose some of the communication there. Let's just say that. So, Brett, I know you and Enrique have done so much work with this, and I have just loved watching you guys grow. What's the time frame for bringing, like, say I'm an attorney and I want to, or a business owner, and I'm thinking, I want to do a virtual assistant. You guys, I know you jump right on anytime I make an introduction. What's the time frame to like what goes on in, not to get in the sausage factory, but just kind of generically, how much time elapses before you like actually get a virtual assistant in somebody's office?
Our average placement time is 6 to 8 weeks. Okay. And so like with anything in life, most of the time somebody's interested and then they say, okay, well, I'm not quite ready. And then about 6 weeks later, they call back and say, I need someone next week. Yeah. And it's like, we would have had them next week. It would have been perfect. So the average placement time is 6 to 8 weeks. Obviously, that's an internal thing that we deal with. These are human beings that you are recruiting really a lot of the same ways you would here. And we have many different avenues of how we find what we call incredible offshore talent. We have to get them. It's a new concept. So teach them what our business is and, what the virtues are working for someone in the US at home and to be able to work from home all day. And so then we interview them. We put them through a very really a process that you know very well in terms of testing, making sure we're trying to whittle down to the right type of person. And then there's the culture fit, right? When we finally present someone to one of our clients, our client then interviews this potential virtual team member, and sometimes it takes 2 or 3, or sometimes it's the right fit right away. And you're looking at about, I mean, if you have a really efficient hiring process here in the United States, for example, wherever you are, you're lucky to get someone in less than 6 weeks who's good. You can always fill a seat with the first resume you get, but we're taking our time to, what we like to say is we're reducing the turnover in the high turnover positions that are traditionally receptionists, intake coordinators, marketing assistants, and a lot of your entry level admin positions that you tend to pay less here, which means that person, if they're not making enough, always has 1 foot in, 1 foot out, looking for an opportunity to better their lives. And we have a lot lower turnover than otherwise we would domestically.
Yeah, there are so many tasks they can take care of and get off the plate. And I mean, and plus with, if you have a particular way, you train them just like you would any other staff member. You take the time to onboard them appropriately, take the time to train them, spot check along the way. It's not just, hire and hope, right? It's, you actually need to be a business owner. That's why, and business owners, like you said about the 6 to 8 weeks, I laugh because I'm in that same boat where, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to need it in about 8 weeks. And they're like, yeah, no, then we need to start now. Yeah. So plan ahead. Absolutely.
And I'll touch on something else you mentioned in terms of part-time versus full-time. Also project-based, we still in every business I'm part of use Upwork for an intricate design, or for sometimes logo design. That is still a very good resource to have. But when we're talking about actually taking things off your plate and not just managing the project, what we say is don't go part-time, do full-time. And with the cost savings, you're going to come out way ahead. And that's why we're placing full-time team members with you only. We don't do part-time.
And I was talking to Enrique about this, and he was saying how 25 hours, like if you can get the person even working about 25 hours a week, that will, like now they're profitable and they still have bandwidth to take on more projects, which is an excellent place to be when you've got staff. You've got that.
He loves saying one of the best resources is an employee or team member with extra bandwidth, because now you have them for all those projects.
Yeah, absolutely. So in your experience, what are some of the fears people have about pulling the trigger on getting a virtual assistant?
And it's something you said earlier about delegation. Delegation is a mindset. It's like, I need to take classes and learn how to properly delegate. Maybe, but and I know you have a lot of good resources on onboarding and training and how to be a good leader, and really, but it starts with a decision. It starts with the decision that I'm going to get this off my plate, and I also want to come at this from a very non-judgmental standpoint, because I was the person who refused to listen for 2.5 years. And so I was there, and now I'm, on the other side. And we talk about delegating your way to freedom. A term you like to use is new level, new devil. Yeah. So every time it seems like we make some hires and we push ourselves up the ladder, we can fill our time with a ton of projects just at a higher level. And so you got to keep delegating and focus your time on the 20% of your efforts which actually produce the most outcome, whatever that is for you, whatever it is. It's being a lawyer, being a business person, speaking, it doesn't matter. But as long as you'll never get to spend most of your time on the things that really matter without a great team around you. There's just not enough time in the day, and there's just too much to do. So
yeah, I was just putting in here, delegation is key to your success, because that is absolutely a mantra that, you know, your business is going to grow, you're going to get busier, and, you know, as business owners, we constantly have more and more new ideas, what we want to do, what we want to work on. It's never going to get totally slowed down. And so honing that skill of delegation, I mean, it's an art. It's something you've got to practice and get better at. But that is absolutely the key to success. You look at the most successful people in the world, and they're not trying to do it all themselves. They're surrounded by a great team. And a virtual assistant is just such a, so I used to, in my law firm business years ago, I was on the West Coast and my virtual assistant was on the East Coast, which was great because I would dictate something at 5 o'clock or 7 p.m. at night. And when I came in the next morning, like all of her to-dos were done. Like by the time I got to work, everything was finished and waiting for me. And I just loved it because it's like that kind of turnaround time, but it helped me to have somebody in a different time zone because that helped with everything. And I know a couple of people on the East Coast, they use somebody on the West Coast. Same reason, like you get that extra couple hours of work that can be done in the afternoons.
Right.
So yeah.
The amount of work we get done without distractions, that's kind of what that comes into play.
Absolutely.
We when we talk about delegating too, it's like if you write down maybe for 3 days, maybe a whole week, everything you do, all of your tasks in a day, you can probably then take a highlighter and say, okay, with my yellow highlighter, these are all things I can create a nice position for, like a legal assistant, a personal assistant, you can call them an executive assistant, a receptionist. And then there's the other things we talked about, such as, you know, entrepreneurs have so many ideas, and I like to say 100 new marketing ideas before breakfast. So then you have, you know, someone else that you're just constantly throwing these ideas at, and talk about, and this is not just me, you know, saying, oh, it's the greatest thing ever. But when you have someone that you can actually give all these ideas to, it creates so much more headspace, because you're trying to keep all these ideas and write them down, and they build up in kind of a mental shelf, and you can almost look over and see the stacks of paper of all these cool things you want to do in business and life, but you don't have anyone. And I know people that use domestic part-time executive assistants, and that can be very helpful as well. Our, what I would call unique competitive advantage is that we're going offshore. So we're finding, you know, when you do part-time, they're working for different firms and different people and different businesses, and there's not really the connection, you know, to each his or her own. And I mean that genuinely. But when you bring in a full-time team member, someone that is really appreciative of the opportunity, that wants to work with you, and that needs to be at home to work for whatever family reason, you know, that really adds to the dynamic. It's a great feeling when you're able to see a business owner in need and an employee who really wants the position. That is a really fulfilling part of the job that we never really thought about.
That's great. I mean, it's all about connecting people, right? And it's the same with the art of, you know, referring, it's giving out referrals. You've got somebody you come across that needs some help, and you can't help them, but you know somebody else that can help, and connecting them, right? And I love that you guys are, I'm mystified on how you find such great people, but I got to tell you, another part that I'm in love with is the placement guarantee. What's it called? The
lifetime placement guarantee.
Yes. No, because it's true. Sometimes you work with somebody and it either maybe just isn't the right fit, or it comes about later. But knowing that you can say, you know what, this isn't working. And you know, from your own law firm business experiences of replacing a human being is so expensive. And, you know, we always worry we're making the wrong decision, but you've got such a great system in your new business and get staffed up to be able to help place the right people and find, like you were saying, that connection. That's what I was saying, like making sure it's a good fit so that you can have those good conversations and work with the right kind of person. So no, I just think you guys got it all going on. I don't know if you knew, but I pulled your website.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We have a lot of non-lawyer and law firm clients, but because both of us are attorneys, we really decided to niche down and focus. And I truly enjoy the opportunity to help young and solo attorneys, because there's so many really good attorneys, Kristen, who, you know, they didn't want to go the big firm route, and they wanna you know, get their hands dirty, and they want to fight for their clients, but it's so hard for them because running the business the right way is really the only thing that will allow them to continue to work with more and more great clients and do better things for the world. And when we're able to say, listen, I know you're stressed. Entrepreneurs are the most stressed out community, and at least I heard that, right? So it's got to be right. Mike Michalowicz said that the number one community afflicted with stress is entrepreneurs. And I think because stress comes from, we want things a certain way and they're not that way. And that dissonance is what creates a stress, because we think we can solve all the world's problems and we can do it by tomorrow. But you know, I appreciate you saying that about us and how we have the lifetime placement guarantee, because the other thing is, we've all done this. We've hung on to someone for too long, not the right fit, but we don't want to go through the rigmarole of the hiring process. And every time you hire someone, the hidden costs, the statistic is almost $5,000. So you can imagine, if you have the constant door at your receptionist position, legal assistant, intake coordinator, marketing assistant, it costs you in lost time, productivity, your time in hiring. And so we designed this business to really fit in with what, in our experience, tells us the business owner needs.
Yeah. No, it's great. Now I've got to tell you, I am so excited because you probably can't see it on the screen, but over there on the right hand side of that website, it says "not a lawyer?" ? And that you're branching off and helping non-law firms and law firm owners. And that's great for all of my clients, because I'm helping so many dentists and doctors and business owners, and they need this stuff too. And so I know that's a new area, but I'm super excited that you're going to be able to help more people. So
yeah, and a law office is very similar to a doctor's office, a dentist's office. It's a service-based business, and it has, as you know better than me, a lot of the same components. So, you know, I don't want to exclude anyone from this conversation, because it's the same story for anyone who's out there trying to do something different and adding a component to the market to help other people in ways that another business that exists can't. And we're just so happy to be a part of that.
No, it's very exciting. I'm very excited that there's just so much potential to help so many people, and like you said, connect so many individuals and such. But yeah, so if you were talking to somebody that was on the brink about thinking about getting a virtual assistant on, what would be your top piece of advice to kind of urge them, push them, poke them, prod them to finally take action and get a virtual assistant and try it for a couple of months? Like, what do you tell people?
So if you're deciding whether to hire or not hire, then I would say, what's the downside? And I had to learn this, and people have heard this, but like, what's the worst that can happen? And then, is it really that bad? And the answer is no. And then so give it a try, because the potential upside of finding a really good team member and what they can do for your business is so much greater than well, what if I waste, you know, a few weeks looking and I find someone and I don't like them? well, that's part of business. I mean, unless you're in this for the finite game and your goal is to just have the best 2020, and you're gonna work 100 hours a week and you're gonna maximize everything, and on December 31st, 2020, you're out. Well, okay, well maybe that's a different story. But if you look at this from the infinite game, as the new book is making its rounds by Simon Sinek, what are you looking? Are you building towards that vision of really reaching the goal of why you went into business? And do you have a business? It's rare, but that you don't need any help. I mean, I've never seen one, and so I would just say, pull the trigger. With us, we don't have long-term contracts, so if it doesn't work out after a little while and you decide to move on, well, we wish it would have. Some people don't like the experience of working with a virtual team member. Some people think, well, even if it's, I got to connect on video every morning, the upside and all the other pros from hiring someone in person, in your office or domestically is great. And I'm going to answer kind of a different question now, or make a different point. Yeah. What our message is not, you should stop hiring domestically. This is not a replacement for US-based jobs. What we're doing at my law firm, the Tremblay Law Firm, is we are getting to the point where soon, within the next 18 months or so, every attorney will have their own virtual assistant. So it's not just for the owner. Yeah. It's not just for the entrepreneur or for your top level. My personal assistant already has an assistant, because we just have so much that we're doing a virtual assistant. And that's kind of the point, is that not only are you able to then hire more people in the US because you have this increased capacity, but we like to say, improving the global economy. Mm-hmm. And maybe with globalization and connecting, jobs virtually this way, we won't have as big of a need for such dire, immigration circumstances. So we think there's a lot of positives, but I just wanted to drop that in there, because we do get, well, are you guys taking jobs? And we would say absolutely not.
Yeah, well, thank you for making that point. On the other part of getting a virtual assistant for your team, that's actually Enrique and I were just talking, because I just hired 2 more coaches to hire my team. I'm pretty excited about that. And I want to get a virtual, because I already have a virtual assistant in my team in place, but I'm looking to bring on a virtual assistant specifically to work with my 2 coaches and make their life better. Yeah. And to reach out to our clients and just help with managing and scheduling and just all the little things that need to be done, because time is precious. And there are a lot of things we want to get to. And unfortunately, we don't get to do some of the things we want to do because we're stuck doing the tedious stuff. And so for the 2 coaches I hired, I'm already like on that of, okay, you guys, you're going to share a virtual assistant who's going to be able to like get things organized, follow up with clients, do whatever needs to be done. Mm-hmm. Right? See, you didn't even know you almost have a new client, right?
It's the same thing. If you and I, Kristen, we keep, delegating and elevating ourselves, but then we have our C-suite or senior level people, whatever term you're going to use, but they're answering the phones and they're doing all their emails, and we're bogging them down with admin work. They can't realize their own full potential either.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, I think, so we talked a little bit about the like pull the trigger. The other component that I know I'm passionate about, you've heard me talk about this a ton, is the onboarding, right? Like if you don't onboard people properly, and I just came across a statistic recently that said that if you have a good onboarding process, not just the first week, but the first, couple weeks at the 30-day, 60-day mark, the retention goes up by 80%, like that they'll be there longer than a year or 2. And wow. It's amazing that if you take the time on the front end, you create a much stronger, more stable team. And that stability means increased efficiencies, increased profitability, increased production, and just a better, just culture in the office, in the business. Yeah. in a virtual business. And so I'm pretty passionate about onboarding. I've got some stuff. I'll pop it in the chat here in a bit of just a freebie, kind of an onboarding, handout for people, because it's definitely one of my, give me a chance to get on my soapbox. I will talk about onboarding and culture all day long.
Absolutely. And I can listen all day long, because I really love talking about the culture. And onboarding is a two-way street. It makes it so much better on the business owner and the employee, because now they're both being productive, and it's like, wow, this is amazing. These people are really doing a lot for the business, instead of I need to give them work because I didn't give them enough, and I didn't tell them what they were in charge of, and I don't have a written program. So onboarding it's something you have to learn. If you're making your first hire, you got to learn it. And if you're not, and you've started to kind of develop onboarding, you need resources, and as you grow, you're going to hire more and more. And so we like to tell people, you got to work with someone. You got to work with someone, if you've never done it, who can help you learn how to onboard and train, because the first 3 months are crucial for any position.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why we have a handout that I give out all the time. That's just, it's a couple of pages, but gets you going. It gets you started. So you start that planning and prepare for it. I mean, it's amazing. Just a little bit of planning can go a long ways. And people, they mean well, they think they're going to get to it, and they never, get that pen out and just get started.
Yeah. So, do you have the resource link? I mean, this is not.
Yeah, I'll pull it.
We didn't plan this. It's not like a transparent softball, but if we've got a lot of new clients in the past few months that we're saying, work with Chris and work with other, whoever it is, right? Just like us. You don't have to work with us, but just get help. Just please.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, I'm just pulling it up. Well, I'm glad that we got to get on here and chat. I know we've had, different people at different times are going to see this, go, what? Virtual assistants? What are you talking about? But it's, and it's also a little wave of the future, I think. I mean, technology is here, folks. Zoom calls. I have team in London, in Miami, in Nashville, on the West Coast. I mean, that's just part of, you run it, you have fun. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I feel too. It's a little bit of the future and where the world is moving. And a lot of people now don't just have virtual staff. They're 100% virtual. That's to me a new thing within the past 5 years. There's a lot of businesses that have. We have one client with 22 or 3 employees, all virtual. So you talk about planning and being organized, but he loves it.
Yeah. You get into that rhythm and it all works well. So absolutely. Well, Brett, thank you for jumping on. Thank you for sharing and helping spread the word. I know I'm on a mission to get more business owners to take advantage of using a virtual assistant to get things delegated off their plate and keep growing their businesses and using their time and the fashion that's best used for what they're good at, rather than those little tasks that need to get done. So thank you for joining me on here today.
Thank you. The honor is all mine. And I want to leave people with something that you are still oft quoted on, which is done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
So in terms of nothing will ever be perfect. No email, tweet, PDF, it doesn't matter. It's just got to get out there and take action, which requires a decision. So I think about that a lot, which, comes back to you. And again, thanks for the years of being a great mentor. And it's fun to see you in your new endeavors and really just, as always, kicking butt. So thank you. And keep it up.
Awesome. And I am throwing out, for those that don't know, Get Staffed Up. I'm throwing the in the chat below as well, the URL for your business in case they're ready to maybe check it out, see what it is. I think you guys do such a phenomenal job, and hey, we might have to do some more of these live streams and give people a little more meat of how to really work with a virtual assistant and have fun and find their freedom. So thank you for jumping on today.
Thank you, Kristen.
Awesome. All right. Bye, everyone.